Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network. Hey, welcome back, everybody. There is a wonderful place in Maryland that can revive you, help you thrive, make you feel better, just an overall sense of well-being. And we're going to talk about that, specifically how salt in your life, and I don't mean ingesting sodium, can really change your life. This is the Salt Sanctuary of Maryland. She is La Stone, and she's with us. She's the woman behind it. Welcome. How are you doing today?
Thank you so much, Steve. I'm wonderful. How are you?
I am good. I just I got a download. There was an old song by the Beatles, All You Need Is Love. I'm going to change it. All you need is la.
You know what? On top of that, my grandfather, James Stone, called me Love. That was his nickname for me. So all you need is love and a little bit of La Land. La Land doesn't hurt.
Interesting. Oh, La Land's a good place to be, and that's the Soul Sanctuary. So, yeah. Full transparency, I did a salt cave, if you will. It actually came up in my Facebook memories right around 2018, somewhere around there. Felt great. I never went back. I wanted to go with my friend, and they were like, "Oh, it doesn't really do anything." And I'm like, I should just go on my own. Why is salt or a place like yours so beneficial for us?
You know, it helps to soothe common respiratory conditions. So if you have allergies, asthma, sinusitis, chronic bronchitis, COPD, emphysema, the list goes on and on. People come to get salt therapy for relief from a lot of those symptoms. And if you don't have any of those ailments, if you can breathe freely, but you are super duper stressed out, you have anxiety, you can't sleep at night, people also find relief and calm here. It's an escape from environmental triggers, whether that's out in the earth or out in your office. It just provides you that calm, that self-care, stake in the ground time for relief. In addition to your respiratory system and your mental health, if you have eczema or minor skin irritations, salt therapy helps to soothe that as well.
Why does the salt work? How does it work? Why does it make a difference?
So the salt provides moisture. So when you relax here at the Salt Sanctuary of Maryland, we have zero gravity reclining chairs that our guests or our salters come to relax in. We cover you with a fluffy blanket, turn down the lights, turn up some ambient music. But as they are breathing in, the moisture from the salt helps to take away the respiratory situation, whatever that may be. I recently heard someone say, if you're dry, if your breathing is dry, it'll help provide moisture. If your breathing is drippy, it'll help dry it up. So salt, there's something about salt. It's in our tears and it's in the ocean. It was in the womb, before we were even born. Our bodies needed that magnesium. A lot of people take it in a pill or some type of elixir. You can also breathe it in the air. So it's kind of like, you can relate. Everyone, I'm sure, can relate. Going to the beach.
2 days ago, and I was thinking exactly what we're talking about. And I took a walk. It was very windy. It was the storm that's coming up the coast was showing its head at the shoreline, and all I was just like taking it all in because I know it's good for me. I don't know why, but yes, the beach.
Yeah, the salt, the ions in the air. It just. First of all, there's a whole other discussion around utilizing our lungs to their full capacity, but somehow when we're at the beach, we allow ourselves to breathe freely and we're taking it all in, and it literally has the power to calm and center us. And so people come here for just under an hour and they just have one job, and that's to breathe. And when they walk out, they're like walking on a cloud. It's so sweet to see. It's amazing to witness, actually.
You're so right about the breathing thing, because it's everything, but we don't do it effectively. And there are people that teach breathing. It's called breath work for a reason. You have to work at it. But even to reset yourself during a day, and you take 4 deep breaths, or if it's 3 in, 3 out, whatever's going to work.
Yeah.
We minimize it because we just do it automatically. We breathe automatically, but we're not deep breathing and intentionally breathing where it's going to make a difference.
Steve, you are preaching to the choir. I actually teach breath work. I'm an
Mm.
advanced
Wow.
certified yoga teacher.
Wow.
And it's just that we take 20,000 breaths a day and barely notice because we don't have to, because it's automatic, right?
Right.
But when we do notice, it takes us out of our head, like literally in any meditation practice. Some people find it hard to sit still, and it's understandably because we are conditioned to go, 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 and there is so much to do. But when we take that step back dance, put that stake in the ground and carve out that time, whether it's a minute, 5 minutes, 45 minutes, an hour, 2 hours a day, whatever it is, we all have different, meditation practices. To your point, we have to work at it. But when you do take the time to just focus on your breath, even if you have to say to yourself, I am inhaling, I am exhaling, to get
Mm-hmm.
out of your head, you'll find that sacred space of calm, and it will power you and empower you to get back at that list.
This is an embarrassing quick story, but a few years ago, my friend's son was working on my deck. And I was helping him out with some stuff along the way. Now, big age difference between the two of us. And we start talking. We took a break. We're talking. We're like, feeling real tired lately. Yeah, me too. Like, what is going on? I don't know. We continue to talk, and we realized that we were taking shallow breaths.
Yeah.
We both came to that epiphany at that moment. We weren't breathing deeply. And from that moment on, even to the day, when I'm feeling like I got a lot going on, I'm like, I can't, like, why am I so tired? I'm like, you're not breathing well. All right. Deep breathe a little bit. And it's like when you haven't eaten for a while and you're
Yeah.
feeling that low energy. That's the way it feels when you and I, as I understand it, in Asian cultures, they deep breathe all the time. They have so many less medical issues and chronic issues than we do because we're always running all over the place and we're breathing very shallowly. And it's just, we need to change that.
Yes, they have so many healthy practices, holistic healthy practices.
Yeah.
My daughter spent this past summer in Beijing studying
Uh,
abroad, and one of the practices that we walked away with was just sipping on warm water throughout the day. So at a restaurant, you won't see, you will see it, but it stands out. People aren't just ordering coffee or tea. They'll have a warm cup of water and they sip on it. And that too seems to help ward off,
yeah.
sinuses and just respiratory conditions. So
Hmm.
yeah, and going back even further in ancient Egypt, like you look at hieroglyphics and you see people doing yoga poses. I just have to throw that in because it goes way back in my culture and the history of the world, the breathing, the yogic lifestyle, being intentional with your breath, with what you consume, with how you move through the world. It's all connected.
Yeah.
So back to the salt, imagine being intentional about your breath in a salt room or in a salt cave. And can't you just feel it? It's like the sense of walking out, being lighter on your feet, freer in your body,
Mm.
creating that space.
Bring it now.
I
Bring
know.
it
More,
now.
please.
Oh, um, I want to get back to the salt in a moment, but you talked about your culture and how did you get to this point where you're holistically helping people heal?
Oh my gosh. It is the question alone gives me goosebumps. I will take you back to my upbringing in Southeast DC, Washington, DC. Right now, people may hear that and they might think about the Anacostia River. They might even think about, oh, you grew up in the hood. Well, yeah, but my neighborhood back then was grounded in my grandparents' home. In the back, we had a vegetable garden. In the front, or on the side front, we had a flower garden. We ate what they grew. We shucked the corn. We plucked the peas. And in that home on G Street in Southeast Washington, D.C., off of Benning Road, I watched my uncle meditate each morning.
Hmm.
I didn't understand it. I grew up knowing that I wanted to know more about it, but I didn't know how to do it. Air quotes, I didn't know how to do it. That's what I told myself. And also back then as a little girl, I didn't know it until recently, but another uncle taught yoga for DC Parks and Recreation in Southeast DC. And mind you, he said he did it to meet girls, but he did it. So I grew up surrounded by this yogic lifestyle in terms of
Wow.
what you put in your body, how you move through the world, carving out time for your mental health and mental space. But I didn't realize it. Rewind about 5 years ago. I mean, it was 4 years ago, the year 2000. My birthday is January 1st. So I gave myself as a present yoga teacher training because I felt called to walk the path on a deeper level. I had been taking yoga as a student for 15 years or so, in and out. And I said, you know what? It's calling me to deepen my journey, learn the meaning behind these Sanskrit terms, learn how to do the poses the right way, air quotes again, and get into it. And I made a commitment to myself that how I learned, like I just wanted to be all in with it. I knew how I learned would be what I walked away with, and I didn't want to do it halfsies. I didn't want to put half of myself into it. Well, that was the year 2000. So the program started in February, and pretty much by March, April, it had shut down. We went from offline to online, and I craved the rigor of the program. I could have signed up for an online program if I wanted to, but I didn't want to. I needed to get all in. And what was supposed to be a 5-month program turned into 8 months. We were outside in the heat of the summer, meditating with gnats flying around and flies, and we're doing yoga on a hot pavement. Oof. And eventually we were able to get back inside, but the bulk of the program was outside. Steve, I had no intention of ever becoming any type of teacher, let alone something dealing with physical fitness and healing, yoga. When I started that program, I said, I didn't intend to teach. But by the end of the program, I felt a responsibility to share what I had learned with people who wanted it. So that's how I got on the path 4.5 years ago.
Wow.
I will rewind a little shorter now. Last year, 2 weeks before Thanksgiving, I got laid off from my big corporate job. And this was a dream job. I had made it, in my career, I wasn't leaving. I don't care how stressful it was. I normalized a lot of things, including the stress. And I loved what I did, but I got laid off. And I knew in my heart of hearts what I would not be doing next. And that was firing off my resume for another job, another corporate job. I needed to bet on myself. And I had this yoga business. I didn't have the bandwidth to really pour into it, but without even having the bandwidth, good things were happening. So I said, I'm going to believe in me and I'm going to commit to this journey. And here we are almost a year later, and I own the Salt Sanctuary of Maryland.
Wow.
And I'm running my business out of it.
I love your story. Your passion is just overwhelmingly fantastic. And isn't it interesting that our younger years prepare us for our older years? Because your family was doing that, and you probably didn't. That was a way of life. That was normal. Oh, meditating. Oh, breathing better. Oh, we're living off the land. And it's all holistic, natural. You probably didn't think anything of it, but here it is coming full circle. I won't get into my story. Same kind of story.
Please share.
I always wanted to be on the radio, even as a kid. And I taught myself electronics so I could build myself a mixer, so I could make tapes, so I could get a job. And now all that stuff I learned, even back in the day, I learned video, taught myself video. My dad passed away when I was 21. I used a couple of bucks and bought professional video equipment, taught myself. Then I put that all away. What happened, 15 years ago? Then I opened up a marketing company. So all those skills I learned, yes. I'm using them. Every piece of equipment in this studio, I'm in an office building here. I don't have somebody come in and do it. I did it. every wire, strip the wires with my teeth. I don't care. And that was what I learned in the beginning. Who would have known decades later, this is what I'm doing. And I put everything all together, could do it with my eyes closed and one hand behind my back. If that was my beginning. This was your beginning. Look where you are. Look what I'm doing.
Yeah,
You never know. You never know.
legitimately, that big corporate job, I did my undergrad degree is in journalism,
Yeah.
my master's degree is in organizational leadership. So
Wow.
my career was spent in print journalism, public relations, media relations,
Wow.
thought leadership, executive communications, marketing.
Wow.
What better brand to do it for?
Yourself.
Yes, at least I hope I'm trying.
Oh, well, I think you're doing well. You're your best customer when it comes to that.
Yes.
Your brand. Tell me about the salt. What kind of salt is this? What makes it your sanctuary different than others? Maybe what's going on?
Oh, that's a really good question because there are other salt caves and salt rooms, around the world. This started back in the 1800s in
Sure.
Eastern Europe in actual salt mines. They realized the miners weren't getting sick from the common cold or common, respiratory conditions that were going around the community.
Sure.
So they said, they did the math and figured out we need salt in our lives to help us be well holistically. So in our salt cave, the walls are salt, the floors are rock salt, and we have what's called a halo generator that is permeating tiny salt particles into the air. Tiny. So you can't even see it, but you can feel it. Like if I went back, I actually have a salter back there now. She's been coming here for 9 years. She's amazing. She comes once a week. And when I open the door to let her out, it may look a little foggy because the quality of the salt content is where it needs to be for her.
Sure.
But otherwise you can't tell that you're breathing it in. You're not going to feel salt pellets hitting your skin or anything like that. But it's that halo generator permeating salt into the air that makes us a little different from other salt rooms in our area. It's common to see, like there's one place nearby, I love it so much because of their programming and their different events, and the environment is so relaxing. But their salt room, it has Himalayan salt stones built into the walls and relaxing chairs. Even that is calming, but you're not getting halotherapy.
Yes.
And that's the salt therapy. Halotherapy is when you have those tiny salt particles into the air that you are breathing in, creating that relief for yourself.
There is a difference. That's why I
There
asked.
is.
Yeah, there truly is. It's interesting. You said before, our perception of salt. Now, many of us think it dries you out. I have a long day of the beach and the sun and everything. It's like, yeah, my skin's a little tight here, from the salt. But I find it fascinating, and I never realized it until you said it, how it does both. It does what it needs to do. And of course,
Yes.
this stuff we're talking about, you talk about the 1800s, but I'm sure even centuries before that, they realized the benefits of salt and why why do people go to the beach? It's not just the sun and the sand and the relaxation.
Right. And you bring up a really good point around our wiring when it comes to salt. It has such a bad rap. Like,
Yes.
stay away from it. All about in terms of our consumption habits.
Yeah.
Yes. Like I don't buy salt for my house. I stopped buying it 15 years ago now.
I
Well,
haven't
that's
touched a salt shaker since I was a kid. I'm not even kidding. I haven't, and my dad would always be on my case about it. Well, why do you don't put salt on it? There's so much sodium and stuff anyway. I haven't touched it, and I don't need it, and I don't judge anybody. But when I look in a restaurant and somebody grabs the salt and puts it on, I'm like I'm so salt sensitive now. That I don't need it anymore.
You don't
it's
miss
in it.
it,
It's in everything.
and you don't need it. It's in everything. Now, I will admit, when I stopped cooking with salt, some things it is good to have a pinch of salt in if you're cooking, like if you're baking.
Yes.
I get that. But when it comes to the hypertension, and the high blood
pressure.
pressure,
Sure.
the tendencies to eat salt. It is in everything. So it is so important to read the labels and be mindful when we're eating. All that aside, no one talks about the benefits of salt. We know, I've been hearing a lot more lately, the benefits of magnesium. Like people realize if, I have a friend who was having trouble sleeping at night. His doctor ultimately put him on or encouraged him to buy into a product that has magnesium in it. He sleeps like a baby, or at least better than he did before. And I feel like there are certain things we're aware of, but do people know magnesium is salt?
I don't think people realize that.
I don't think people realize it either.
Yeah.
We have a product here that a clinical doctor friend, fellow yogi of me, Dr. Beams, shout out Dr. Beams. You're going to meet her because we're going to talk to her soon. She custom designed a body butter for us, and it has 3 ingredients: shea, magnesium, and hemp. And it's a calming body butter.
Wow.
And it is legitimately like one of the best things. I've used it in that trip to Beijing. I used it in my hair, on my skin, on my lips, like lip balm. It's amazing, but we lose that. We miss the benefits of salt outside of digesting it. It coming in the salt room and ingesting it, breathing it in helps calm your blood pressure.
I slept like a baby at the beach on Sunday.
There it is.
It was,
Don't we all?
There was so much in the air. You could see like a fog because it was very windy and it was very turbulent in the water, and it was just coming up. I'm like, give me more. And that's a fraction of what somebody experiences in your sanctuary. And by the way, next time we get together, there's so much to talk about. Energy healing, of course, the yoga and all of that. How do we find out more about this sanctuary?
Visit us online at saltsanctuarymd.com. Give us a call. We're in Maryland. We're in Howard County, the heart of Maryland, the DMV, DC metropolitan area. We have people coming from Virginia, Delaware, Pennsylvania, etc., New York even. Give us a call, 410-799-7699. Or you can email info@saltsanctuarymd.com.
You're a Capricorn, right?
Oh, yes. Can you tell?
Did you realize that, or did you know that the symbol for Capricorn is connected to the sea goat, and a fish? And it's funny that we're talking about salt.
Steve, I was today years old when I learned that. Thank you for telling me that. I know I'm a goat girl. I'm a garnet girl, but I didn't connect it to the sea goat.
Yeah, check it out.
I have homework.
That does, it all makes sense here, talking about salt in the sea and all that.
Well, also that my last name is Stone. So I'm surrounded by salt stones.
Wow.
It's my ancestry.
Amazing. La, great talking with you today. Learned so much. And lots to talk about next time we get together. Looking forward.
I'm so excited for this. Thank you, Steve.
Thank you. We'll be right back. Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
Hey, Dad, how do airplanes fly? What's in this box? Can I touch this? Where does sand come from? Is this tree good for climbing? What happens if I mix these two things together? How are babies made? What does this thing do?
Kids are curious about everything, including guns. Talking to them about gun safety in your home is a good first step, but you can do more. Always keep your guns locked, unloaded, and stored separately from ammunition. Storing your guns securely is the best way to prevent family fire, including unintentional shootings. For more information on safe gun storage and ways to keep your family safe, visit endfamilyfire.org. That's endfamilyfire.org.
What do we keep in the attic? What's this thing called? Can I ride my bike backwards?
Like I said, kids are curious. It's up to us to keep them safe. Brought to you by End Family Fire, Brady, and the Ad Council.